music fan bases and sort of what we always think. I guess, what would you say, kind of deciding what that fan base is, who they are?
who they are as people.
Yeah.
Like if I say Stevie Nicks fan, there's a person that comes to mind.
Right. Like an old white lady.
It's either like an old hippie white lady,
Yeah.
or like a young, really mean, bitchy, liberal white college girl.
Yeah. That was, Stevie Nicks was it Fleetwood Mac?
Fleetwood Mac, yeah.
Yeah. Which I like Fleetwood Mac.
Not me. I don't know what it is about their songs or their music, but it's something about them just, it's annoying. Like when I hear their music, it annoys me. Like I feel the same way. Like I understand it's totally different genres, but their music and the Beatles, I feel the same way about them.
Really?
I cannot stand the Beatles.
You think it's just because like the popularity of Fleetwood Mac? And, like you've just heard it so many times?
I don't know if it's that or because they were like an 80s band, right?
70s.
Okay, so like coming into the 80s, maybe
like
a little
late
bit.
late 70s, I think.
Because like I think of
when I think 80s, like I think like mid 80s. I think like hair metal bands.
Oh, so
like Poison and
when I think 80s, I think like Flock of Seagulls and like Rick Astley and like those kinds of people. Like I can just when I think of 80s, I think of like the music videos of the time.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like haze and like backlit like they used
like Take on Me by
yeah, they used a lot of like the backdrops they used in their music videos are always like I don't know, it just had a style to it. Like they were usually in like a like the backdrop looked like something like in an industrial area.
Yeah, it's always like an abandoned warehouse.
An abandoned warehouse or like some kind of like old stonework that might be like, you know, like an old subway tunnel or something like that. It's just like that
aesthetic.
That aesthetic. And then they would always have like, you know, really warm lighting.
Yeah.
Like in the background, like way in the background. So you'd have like a purple light that like lit up the back wall.
Right.
And then you'd have like, you know, the singers would always be rim lit, so they would have a really bright light directly behind them.
Yeah, you see like the silhouette.
So you see like their hair,
it's
all
very like Michael
blowing.
Jackson.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael Jackson did a couple of those.
Yeah, like that. All the music videos look like the cover of that Michael Jackson album where he's lounging, you know, and he's rim lit. Like it all looked like that. But I always really liked that aesthetic. I don't know, like just the old VCR aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess I did technically grow up with that kind of stuff, but it was a little bit before my time. Like, I love to listen to 80s remixes of like modern songs.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the 80s remix of Somebody That I Used to Know?
I don't think so.
I'll have to post that on the Facebook because it's the actual like editing that this person did to the song and like the video and everything is absolutely incredible. It looks and sounds like it came straight out of like 1986, like MTV, if that was even a thing back then. And then somebody did the same thing to a Linkin Park song, which it doesn't seem you wouldn't think that would work, but it really does.
Yeah. Well, somebody that I used to know is sort of, it has like a 80s sound to it already. Like I could see, like if that got released in the 80s, I could see that being there.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, what's that one song by The Weeknd?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one sounded, the first time I ever heard that song, I was like, how come I've never heard this song before? That's an old song. And they're like, no, that got released like last year.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds very 80s.
Is it, God, I would never be able to name it, but
The Whites or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Because like he uses like that synth wave, and a lot of that. So you know, when you think about '80s music, there was always this through line of like the percussion style,
right?
Where it was kick on the downbeat, and then or kick on the 1, and then kick and snare on the 2, kick on the 3, and kick and snare on the 4.
Yeah,
it was boom, ch, boom. They did that every single 80s song is like that.
Yeah.
Like nobody really deviated from that like that pattern. Like, but then you would have like people who would throw in those toms.
Yeah.
Like it was like do do goo 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 goo, you know, like that. That was a big thing too. Thing like In
the Air Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that Peter Gabriel? No, not Peter Gabriel.
No.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, Phil Collins. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Phil Collins?
Is he dead?
I don't know if he's dead or not. Was he the one that did all the Disney music? Yeah, he did Tarzan, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking love Phil Collins.
Yeah.
I love Phil Collins.
He's really good.
He's like just an incredible musical mind. Like him and Peter Gabriel both. I love both those guys.
Well, I mean, really, the '80s was sort of like dominated by like that kind of music. Like you don't hear it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think at that time, like they were just people that were like so musically talented.
Yeah.
Like they had an ear for it. But like now, we've talked about it before. It's like now, like everything's very like formulaic. Like they kind of use like the same formula. It's like, oh, the masses enjoy this, so we're going to use this. But back then, like if you were really good at like writing, like composing music,
like you had to be a composer.
Yeah, like you stood out.
Yeah.
Like think of like Hall & Oates. How many hits Hall & Oates had?
Just hit after hit after hit.
Like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. But also, I mean, it was, their music didn't appeal to everyone.
Right.
Like everybody kind of found their spot. And in each of those genres, you had people like Hall & Oates.
Right.
Like there was like a punk rock Hall & Oates that was doing their thing. And
right.
But now it's like, as we said before, it's just a bunch of like fat old white dudes in suits sitting around a table, like, looking at a chart.
Yeah, they've taken the heart and soul out of everything.
This is just a machine, the music machine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then in the 80s too, like you'd always have like those one-hit wonders. It's like, where did that come from?
Oh, yeah.
Like they just happened to stumble across like whatever it was that they were going to do that one time.
Yeah. Like,
and now they're just hanging on for dear life.
Think of, stuff like that in the 90s too. Like, is it Silverchair?
Yeah.
With Frog Stomp or Frog Wallop or whatever it is.
I think it was Frog Stomp. Yeah.
Where he's like, "You're going away too, fat boy."
Yeah.
You know that kid when he
was
sang,
like 15,
yeah,
right?
he was young. And he sounds older than like Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
singing that
yeah, he was
song.
part of like that post-grunge era.
Yeah. But he nailed
Fantastic,
it. Like right out of the gate.
That was like really the only thing that they ever released.
I mean, right out of the gate, he knew what that was all about. Like, I know that song for sure. I don't know if I may have heard other stuff from them. I just didn't know it was by them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that guy fucking nailed it. And then you have bands like Live, lightning crashes and old mother dies. The angel opens her eyes. I love that song.
The confusion sinks in.
Yeah, he's just screaming. It's like
everybody gets really uncomfortable.
The funny thing about that song to me is like the first minute long, he's like right here in the mic. And he's like whisper singing. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, he's like, pale blue colored eyes. He's like, whoa.
It makes me think of what we were talking about, that Woodstock documentary, and like the dude that was the lead singer for Bush was still pissed off.
Yeah.
He was so mad.
Yeah. He's probably one of those people that listens to Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah, fuck you, I don't care. It's like, you cared enough to make a song, Mr. Punch.
I guess you didn't hear the one about me being a punk.
Do you think he's genuine?
You're not beating me up anymore. Give me back my lunch money.
I don't care that you kissed my mom. Do you think he's genuine? I don't really know. I mean,
I don't know.
Look, I'll rag on Five Finger Death Punch just as much as everyone else does, but like, I appreciate what they do for like first responders and the military and stuff like that. They're big proponents of all that. But I don't know. I honestly cannot tell if they're sincere, if he's sincere about it, or if he's just pandering to an audience that he knows is going to eat up anything that he shits out.
Are you saying you think it's sort of like, and I kind of did like a deep dive the other day on our favorite nu metal lead singer, Fred Durst.
Mr. Durst.
I think that's an act that he does.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
You think it's the Larry the Cable Guy situation?
Yes, I think it's an act because he produces TV and movies. Like I watched him do an interview in.
Well, I mean, that's what he does now.
Yeah,
but
like at the time, like I watched him do an interview. He was like, I act this way so that we get recognition. He's like any type of like media is good media. He's like, it gets us out there.
Wow.
And I was like, holy fuck. It was an act the whole time.
Pulled back the curtain on Mr. Fred Durst.
It pierced the veil on Fred Durst. I was like, holy shit. Like, I thought he was just he still probably is like a major piece of shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's a producer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But, like, he was smart enough to, like, understand, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. As long as they're looking at me.
Yeah, as long as they're looking at the band.
If you're looking at me, I can sell you something.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's like we've talked about, he's not good on vocals. It's really bad.
It is really bad. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's what he sounds like.
Yeah. He sounds like a tween.
Tween. I mean, you can't disrespect the hustle. I mean, because they are, far more wealthy than you or I will ever be.
Right.
But I just don't know if I can sacrifice my dignity like that,
Well, and apparently, too, like, I kind of got to reading about it or whatever, and, like, he kind of discovered a lot of, like, bands during, like, the early 2000s. Like, he was the person that put on, like, Puddle of Mud and, like, a couple other, like, big-name bands. Like, whether you like them or not, he found them and, like, he didn't find them, but he was like the kind of person. He helped
prop them up.
Yeah, signed them to like record deals and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I always think it's really interesting, like when a band has been around for a really long time, like a really long time. Think like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Who were like have been around. They were like Beethoven went and saw them in concert. Like, they've been around that long, and just like kind of hearing like the change in like the change in their music, you can almost kind of tell like where they were in their lives,
right?
Like when you're listening to the music, and also like as the older the older that the men get, the less energy they have, right? Testosterone levels start to come down a little bit.
Right. You're not as angry.
You're not as angry and
yeah.
angsty and aggressive.
Well, it still kind of works with the Red Hot Chili Peppers because they're not like an angry band.
Yeah, no, they're not an angry band, but they're very high energy.
Oh yeah,
I mean, namely Flea.
Yeah,
like I went and saw them in concert at Gwinnett Arena, I think it is, and that was probably it had to be more than 6 years. It was a while back, probably about 10 years ago, and actually Anthony Kiedis at the time had a broken leg.
Really?
Yeah, and he likes to hop around and jump around and everything. So he had like a cast, like all the way from his foot, like up to mid thigh. Yeah. And he looked like a pirate with a peg leg on stage. Like he was still trying to like, jump around and stuff, but he's like swinging this big leg around. And of course you got Flea over there who's on cocaine.
Yeah, of course.
Or whatever. So I mean they are
and Will Ferrell on the drums.
Yeah, Will Ferrell. I told Mary I was like, have you ever seen the comparison of Red Hot Chili Peppers drummer and Will Ferrell? No. I was like, it's the same person.
Yeah, it's a doppelganger.
It's so fucking bizarre. But, seeing them in concert and seeing like the kind of energy they had on stage and like, you compare that to like Woodstock 99 when they were playing there, it is different. Yeah. It's not as like high octane.
Yeah, well, like joints hurt and
slipped a disc.
Yeah,
and
slipped a disc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not crapping on them for it or anything. I'm just saying it's interesting.
Because I would be the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I get up in the mornings now and like things hurt. And like I'm in my early 30s.
Yeah, I sound like somebody put a bag of popcorn in the microwave when I get up in the morning, just like cracking and popping, like all the way from the bed to the shower.
But Yeah, it's funny because like some bands can stick around for longer. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers are still like releasing new music, and like some of their new music, it's okay. I mean, it's certainly not like their old stuff. Like you got stuff coming out like Snow and like Californication and
Suck My Kiss.
Under the Bridge and like all those songs. Like these are like timeless songs. Mm-hmm. And then like you got their new stuff like Dark Necessities. That was an okay song.
Yeah, like Monarchy of Roses.
Yeah. Like they're okay, but you can tell like it's not the same as it was, and that might just be like nostalgia or whatever,
or it's just the change in who they are. They're making different music now because they're different people,
right? But like, but even like their new music, like you could listen to that's pretty good. That's not bad. But like you have like other bands that kind of like they use like that anger to like write that music. Yeah. And as you get older as a guy and your testosterone levels start to drop, I think like you just can't you can't do it anymore.
You're still as angry, but you just don't have the energy to match it. So you just sit there angry. It's like think about like Lamb of God. Like what kind of music will they be writing 20 years from now?
Yeah, I think
if they're still writing music.
Yeah, at some point it's like you should probably just be like an instrumental band and just like write super heavy riffs. Because you can still play that.
Yeah, and then let a younger guy like do vocals or something. I tell you who flies in the face of this discussion is Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, well, Ozzy was sort of like the pioneer of like metal.
You think so?
Well, I would say Black Sabbath probably. Like they were sort of like the tone setters, I think. And like it kind of gets progressively heavier from there, but I guess with like Ozzy or whatever, like he's still like very like melodic. Like he still does like some singing.
He can
and everything.
still sing really well.
Yeah, like whereas like with nobody's ever gonna like say Lamb of God's like, oh, that's very like I like his singing.
Yeah, like somebody sitting there like, just magic too.
Like the like Lamb of God and like super heavy bands like that, like they have a very direct purpose.
Yeah,
like it's like it's supposed to get you hyped up.
You're right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like with Ozzy, like not all of his songs are like that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think like Bark at the Moon.
Right.
Is very like. Very aggressive, very high energy song, and then you have like
Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Yeah, one of the best rock ballads of all time. That to me, Mama, I'm Coming Home is fucking timeless. Right. It is such a good song.
Well, it just goes to show you how good of a musician he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, I mean, think about like his. He also had was Zakk Wylde was on guitar. Then Randy Rhoads. And you're talking about like legends. It was a band comprised of legends. Right. So of course it's going to be good.
Right.
But like, he had a song that came out 1 or 2 years ago called Under the Grave or something like Under the Graveyard. Mm-hmm. And it's, it's definitely more low energy. But I mean, if you've seen Ozzy moving around, he's got like 2% battery left. But he can still sing really, really well. Yeah. And it's so crazy to like see him speaking. Like he's just like
what?
He's like what? And then he sings and it's just perfectly enunciated, perfectly clear.
It's pretty wild.
It is crazy. He has recently moved back home to his hometown.
Yeah.
To be with family.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, is with as much drugs as he's done.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Like I
don't know how he's still alive.
I guess he's preserved himself. Like I don't.
Yeah, he did drugs, like every drug, all the time.
Yeah.
For like 44 years.
Exactly.
And then he ate burritos for another 40.
Like microwave bean burritos.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess the fountain of youth is just hard drugs and burritos.
Have you ever read his autobiography?
I'll
have to give it to you.
I bet it's good.
Yeah, anybody listening, like if Ozzy like makes you laugh, because I remember watching him like on MTV when they had the Osbournes, and like he was just like kind of fumbling around the house. Like it's like
an old man does.
It's like that, except like it starts from the beginning. Like he's got all these like stories and stuff in there that he tells. I have to give it to you so you can read it.
Do you think that he couldn't have written that? He would have, I think somebody
he had somebody transcribe it for him.
Yeah, because I would imagine somebody sat down with Ozzy.
He probably talked.
Yeah.
Sharon like
translated,
and then somebody else wrote it down.
But yeah, I mean, on the topic of rock ballads, I really miss. Nobody does ballads anymore. No. I think like 6-7 minute long songs,
right? With
all these different variations and motifs and things like that. Whitesnake has one of the best ones. I'm blanking on the name. Oh God, what the fuck is that called? It's like it was right on the tip of my tongue and I fucking lost it. So I guess it wasn't that important to me. But I mean, yeah. So. Well,
then there you go. That's again Whitesnake. That was like in the 80s. That was in during that time was rock ballads.
That's gonna drive me fucking nuts. I'm just gonna have to move on. If it comes back to me, I'll shout it out.
It's sort of like Leonard Skinner had Freebird. That's another rock ballad.
Would you call that? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess that is a ballad. Yeah. With one of the fucking craziest solos.
Yeah.
Ever. It's such a fucking the funny thing about Freebird to me is that it perfectly encapsulates every single facet of Southern rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just everything that Southern rock can be is in that song.
Right. And Southern rock is such like it's kind of like stood still in time. Like nobody does it anymore. Like nobody is really like the only person that kind of touched it was if you remember, like Seether, like they had a song that was sort of like a Southern rock song.
They did?
Yeah, and I don't remember what the name of the song was at the time. It came out like in the early 2010s or whatever. But then like after that, it's like, and that was such like a popular genre. Like it's kind of amazing to me that nobody has attempted to like sort of travel down that path.
Yeah.
Like now, I guess it kind of morphs or whatever. It's sort of like. Now you have like a lot of you have like the rap country deal or whatever. And I guess they kind of pull some elements from that or whatever. But just
I don't think that Southern rock and it's called Still of the Night, by the way. That's Whitesnake song, Still of the Night.
I know which one you're talking about.
Still of the Night.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But to me, like Southern rock and country is not. They're not country kind of, if you think about it like regionally. So country music is like anything south of like the Mason-Dixon line, like all the way over to like.
Yeah, you're talking about like Appalachia.
Yeah, all the way over to like Texas, West Texas.
Like Oklahoma.
But Southern rock is like squarely in Alabama and Georgia.
Right.
It's just
like
there.
Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, like that area right there.
Yeah.
Well, Leonard Skinner was from Jacksonville, but that's pretty much South Georgia. So
yeah. I don't know. I think Southern rock is really, I've never seen Southern rock get the hate that like other genres get.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that everybody enjoys it, but there aren't
any proponents of like hate.
Yeah, well, there's people who are just like seething with hatred like at any given genre.
Yeah, like look at like nu metal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But I've never seen that. I've never seen that with Southern rock.
I mean, pretty much all of like the big Southern rock bands were fantastic. Like you have, of course, Leonard Skinner. Like they're like the marquee band of Southern rock. Like
Allman Brothers.
They had a couple ballads too.
Yeah. Would Jessica be a ballad? Because that was just an instrumental song.
I think so.
I don't know if they would be a ballad.
My favorite Allman Brothers song, or was it Allman Brothers or was it Alabama? It might have been Allman Brothers. Is The Whipping Post?
Yeah,
that's a fantastic song.
Yeah,
they're a really good band. I like them.
ZZ Top.
Yeah. Yep. And then you have like CCR was a Southern rock band.
Didn't you say when you were in boot camp like whoever your drill instructor was said you sounded like the guy from ZZ Top?
Because I had to call out cadence for like the marching and everything.
Like left, right, left, like that thing.
Yeah, and then like, but I wasn't using like my diaphragm to do it.
Yeah, you're right here in the throat.
I was so tired, like it was like right here in the throat, and then I got hoarse, and then I sounded like the dude from ZZ Top.
That's funny. Did you know, so like from outside looking in, sometimes like drill instructors, like especially if you like in movies or whatever,
no,
they're like fucking hilarious. Did you get that?
Yeah,
in
they're
boot camp?
funny.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell this story. So, and I don't know if I've ever told this on the podcast before. It's probably my most favorite story from boot camp. Is that like, so in what they called like the compartment or whatever, like you walk in, so you like open the door and you walk in and there's like this little hallway, probably like 6 foot long, and then it opens up into this bigger room.
Yeah.
And on the left-hand side, there's another door and like an office with like an open pane window that looks out into the compartment.
Yeah.
That's where all of like the drill instructors sit. Like they have their computers in there and
like their
like
office.
Chairs. Like, that's their office, right? And it opens up and you have like this big room, and there's 2 columns in the middle, and then or there's 4 columns. So there's one on, there's 2 on one side and 2 on the other side, and like this big open space in the middle. And then around like the outside is all these like double beds, like on wheels that you can roll them away. They're metal, and then so like that's how that sort of the compartment looks. And
so
of
is
course,
this like the barracks?
Yeah, that's where everybody stays at for the 8 weeks that you're there. I think I was there for 9 because they have what they call like P days, which is where they kind of get you processed in. Like they give you all your shots and
you're doing paperwork
and all that other shit. And so you go in, and so like one of the things that you can do, like what I would do every night is I would write a letter. Like I would either write a letter to Allison or mom and dad or nanny or somebody, and then once I got into writing my letter, I would put it inside like my bunk, right? So I would lock it away. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So it was probably, we were probably halfway into boot camp. So it was probably week 4 or something like that.
So are you guys already doing things like, you know, the PT and...
Right. Yeah. So we're doing like intense physical training, like for punishment and that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so like up until that point, like it hadn't been too bad.
Yeah.
Like, of course we had like guys like crying because they have to do push-ups and it hurts. And I was like, oh, good. And then so we had this one.
You had a couple private piles.
Yeah, we had this one dude who was a real piece of shit.
Oh boy.
And so like nobody liked this fucker.
Yeah.
And so
y'all put soap bars in socks.
We didn't do that. We wanted to, especially after this story I'm about to tell. So the one day we're sitting in front of the bunk. So there's like a black rectangle that goes all the way around the inside of where these beds are at, right?
Yeah.
And so we're sitting there and we're like reading what they call like the Blue Jackets manual, which has like all like the naval terms and all that stuff in it. They're like, we're going to give you an hour, sit here, don't fucking say anything, study. Because we have tests that we have to take too. There's 3 different tests you have to take. And then so we're sitting there studying, and they start going around checking racks and making, is your rack made to standard? Like, is it all these stuff? Is it locked? Like it's supposed to be fucking locked?
Do you have your sheet folded correctly?
Do you have your sheet folded correctly and all that stuff? And we see them just start tearing this rack apart, and we're like, oh, fuck, they found something.
Yeah.
Oh, God, what is it? And so the reason why I say what I said about writing letters and putting them away is because if your rack is locked, they don't go in there and like look around because it's locked like it's supposed to be locked.
Yeah.
Well, somebody thought it was a good idea to take their fucking letter that they had and stick it inside their pillowcase. And instead of taking the 3 fucking seconds it would have taken to unlock it and put it inside their fucking rack. So they start reading it. And then they start ripping his rack apart, looking for other shit.
Were they reading it out loud? Okay.
So, and then I see them like walk away. They go back into the office there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And so they come back out, and they're like, Seaman Recruit Schmuckatelli. Come here. And so I take that back. It wasn't inside the pillowcase. So this fool had taken that letter and stuck it inside like his training jacket. And his training jacket was sitting up underneath like the fucking pillow.
Yeah.
And so they bring out the training jacket with the letter in it. They said, come here. And they put a chair right in the middle of the compartment. And it said, everybody else, get up on the black line. We're like, fuck.
Oh.
That means you're about to fucking get it.
Yeah.
So, and they had us all standing there at the attention while this dude's sitting, holding this training jacket with this letter in it or whatever. And we're standing there for like a couple minutes or whatever. And they come back and they've got all these fucking cookies. And
what the hell?
And they just drop them right in front of him.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh no, this fool. You're not supposed to take food from the fucking galley. That you don't do that.
Oh, he really did pull a Gomer Pyle.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's not even the best part. So they're like, all right, everybody, mountain climbers, let's go. And so everybody gets down on two hands.
Yeah.
And you start moving your feet back and forth.
Yeah.
Up and down. You're climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
And they go, all right. Well, Seaman Schmuckatelli here thought it was a good idea to take a cookie from the galley. And also, he wrote a letter home.
Yeah.
It's like, and then he left it out like we told him not to do. And they're like, so, and they read it. And they said, Seaman Schmuckatelli, why don't you go ahead and read that letter?
Oh, no.
And so he's reading it out loud.
Yeah.
While
you're all doing mountain climbers.
While we're all doing mountain climbers, right? And burpees and everything else.
Yeah.
And so he gets to reading this letter. And he's talking about how stupid we all are.
Oh, no.
And he's talking about like how he fucking hates the RDCs.
Oh, shit.
And we're like, you dumbass. You fucking dumbass. And so everybody just fucking, so it's like he's reading it or whatever. And so at the end of it, he goes, he's writing it back to like his girlfriend, right? And at the end of it, he goes, well, I got to go, babe. I got to go clean my gun. And then,
like he's some kind of badass.
Yeah. And it's like, number one, dude, we have fake guns.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowed to fucking have them. Like, we have like these red plastic molds of a gun.
Yeah.
They're like, of course, you like walk around with like, they're training you to be like, hey, like you have to walk. Be used to having it on you. And like requesting when people come in, you have to make them state their business and like all that stuff. Yeah. Like it's something that you do, right? So, and then at the end of it, they take it from him, they crumple it up, and they throw it in the fucking trash.
Yeah.
And they go, just in case you all wanted to know what he thought about you and what he thought about us. And we're like, you fucking asshole.
You piece of shit.
Like, I don't care that you thought that about me. I care that now I'm having to be punished for your fucking stupidity.
Yeah.
Right? And then they go, and also.
Oh, no.
They said,
wait, there's more.
Yeah, they like took that book and they opened it up and was like showing, they like went around like everybody, like while we're doing mountain climbers, we had to like look up at this book.
Yeah.
And there's a big fucking stain right in the middle of this page, a big round circle stain where he took a fucking cookie and put that fucking cookie in there. So he's got a cookie stain
in the book.
And they go, yeah, we couldn't quite figure out what this was until we said, that looks a lot like a cookie. And so, like, we're all fucking doing mountain climbers, and there's like 50 cookies in front of this dude.
Jeez.
And they're like, you will continue to do push-ups and burpees and mountain climbers until Seaman Recruit Schmuckatelli here eats all these cookies.
Oh, God, he had to eat all of them?
And he had to eat all of those fucking cookies.
Shit.
So he's just sitting there, like, eating fucking cookies. And we're all like, you piece of shit, motherfucker. And so.
How low do you think he felt in that moment? Like, probably had the lowest anybody's ever felt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then, like, he's like 20 cookies in, right? He's got 30 more to go.
That's a lot of fucking cookies.
He's got like 30 more cookies to go.
Are we talking like Famous Amos, like 1-inch diameter cookies? Oh, shit. Like a whole. Like a homemade cookie.
Like a homemade cookie.
God dang.
Right. And so, like, they're in like this, like, single plastic packaging, right?
Yeah.
They've got all these fucking cookies in front of him. And so, like, why
would he put a cookie in the book? I don't. Because he's an idiot.
Because he's a fucking dumbass. He took it out of the wrapper. I guess he's going to eat it, and they came in and he just smushed it in the fucking middle of the book. Like a fucking idiot. And so, like, at this point, like, we're probably 50 minutes in, like just straight going.
Good Lord.
And like it's gotten like we're sweating so hard, like we had to take like everybody's slipping like on their own sweat, and like we had to like push the racks back to the wall so that we could move back to get some dry floor.
Wow.
And so nobody's had any water. Like we're all dying of thirst, and like the room is like dripping, like it's the condensation in the room.
Jesus Christ.
Right. Like that's how long.
Turned into a sauna.
Yeah, that's how long we've been going. And like they turned the AC off, like it's a motherfucker in there right now. And this dude, he's sitting there eating these fucking cookies, like sitting in this chair in the middle of the room, and he says, "Chief," he's like, "I'm really thirsty," and they're like, "Well, get up and get you some water." And he goes and gets like his canteen full of water, and he drinks it, and then he like takes a sip and like puts it down, and like goes to eat cookies. And they're like, "No." They're like, "You're thirsty. Drink water."
Yeah.
And so they make him drink that whole canteen of water. They're like, "Chug it. You said you're thirsty." And so he's got like a whole canteen of water on top of like 20 cookies. And then they made that fool get up and go get more water. So he's
just
like
fucking up left and right. Yeah.
And then so like he gets through like 40, like we're an hour and 30 minutes in. Like we can't go much longer, right?
Yeah. You're at your limit.
Yeah, we're at our limit.
Yeah.
And finally they're like, "That's enough."
Yeah.
And like he's still got like 15 cookies left, right? Like at this point he's just kind of like nibbling on them, right? And then so like we finally get done, and then like 2 days later he said that he had like a mental breakdown. He had to leave.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because like nobody would talk to him. They're like, "You fucking piece of shit."
Oh, yeah, you just shunned him, right? Yeah,
we just shunned him.
After that,
yeah.
Like, this guy's a fucking...
Right. At this point, we were like in a more kind, gentle Navy.
Yeah.
So like we couldn't really beat the shit out of this dude.
Yeah, you couldn't like hold him down on his bed and like beat him with soap. Beat him with soap and socks.
Take like a phone book and hit him with it.
That's crazy. I just couldn't imagine like that. The shame.
Oh yeah.
That he felt.
Well, there was a couple of fucking crazy people. Like
he had to go and tell his girlfriend like why he left.
Right.
I wonder what he told her.
Well, and you can't just like leave. Like they have to process you out.
Yeah.
Like it takes like 3 weeks to get processed out.
Yeah.
So then like you go to like they call them the untouchables because they're not really in the military anymore, right? They're sort of like this in between like civilian state or whatever. Like, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And we had that dude. He was a real piece of shit. And then we had another dude. He actually made it all the way through boot camp. He was from Ghana. And this, I don't know if he just didn't understand or he just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But me and this dude did not fucking get along. I did not like this guy. And so, like when we would like do the marching or whatever, like you try to like stay in time and rhythm with everybody. Because if you don't, like if you get out and you start kind of like walking at your own pace
like
or whatever,
step,
it looks like shit. And then we all get in trouble.
Right.
Right. And this dude, he could never get it right. And he didn't give a fuck. Didn't care.
He's just like strolling along with
he
you guys.
just didn't do whatever he wants to fucking do. Right? And then so like we come back and this is like the 15th time that we've gotten in trouble because of this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And he happens to be marching right in front of me. Well, I kicked him as hard as I fucking can right in the back of his legs.
Yeah.
Like while we're marching, like for the 15th time. I just kicked him right in the back of the fucking kneecap.
Yeah.
And he like kind of stumbles and falls to the ground. And they start yelling at him.
Because he fell.
And then we get back to the compartment because he was doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. And then we get back to the compartment. And I'm just like dog cussing this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And he's like yelling at me. Or like, I don't know. It's not in English. So
this dude can't speak English in the Navy?
Well, I don't know like what like his native tongue was or whatever. I don't know what they speak in Ghana. But I was dog cussing him in English.
Yeah, he was probably coming back at you with whatever he had. Yeah,
right. And like, but this wasn't like the only thing. This dude. Like we had been in boot camp for maybe like 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody's like standing at the urinal fucking taking a piss. So everybody has their wieners in their hand.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can kind of like, you talk, but you don't look at the other person.
Yeah.
Right. This dude with his dick in his hand turns and starts pissing on somebody while he's talking to him.
What the fuck?
Yes, I swear to fucking God. And I was like washing my hands. I turn around and start fucking yelling at him, telling him how fucking stupid he is.
Is it just a complete lack of social awareness?
I don't know. Well, he did that, and then we're also at fucking at Chow one day, like lunch, and instead of like saying because he's like sitting there eating, and like there's the person next to him, and then across from them is a bottle of ketchup that he wants.
Yeah.
So it always happened that I was sitting like in the vicinity.
You just happened to be nearby whenever
Right.
he was doing this shit.
And so this dude, I'm watching him, and he like reaches across this person, grabs the ketchup, and just drags his fucking arm through their food. And so I just fucking lied into this dude. Like, it's quiet in the chow hall, and then all of a sudden you just hear me telling him how fucking stupid he is. I was like, you dumbass, you fucking dumbass. I was like, how fucking stupid do you have to be? And then, of course, the RDCs come over there, and they're yelling at me, and I'm still yelling at him.
While they're yelling at you.
I was like, how fucking stupid do you have to be? I was like, I should beat your fucking ass. And so, me and that dude never fucking got along. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what his fucking issue was. It got so bad towards the end.
He's pissing on people, dragging his arms in their food. It got so bad
towards the end. We were 5 weeks in. We had gone past the halfway point. I started calling him princess.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, you're a princess. You do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? And then everybody else started calling him princess.
Oh, no. And
then he went to the RDCs about it. And then they were like, you have got to stop calling him princess.
So 50 years ago, they would have called him princess.
Right.
He just would have been princess from then on. That would have been his call sign.
But
He'd
yeah,
been 15 years into his service, and people still calling him princess.
But yeah, when you go into the military, you meet some fucking people, man.
Yeah.
There's some. It was definitely an experience. I got to know some really good people, and I got to know some really shitty people.
Yeah. Well, you had an experience that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
I never went to the military or boot camp or anything, and I'm not saying that this is at all the same as that, but I did do marching band. Well, you're with a group of people, right? And you get to experience what other people are like. It was like diet boot camp, essentially. Right. It was, especially band camp, because they're trying to get you to be
a unit.
And they really do have to all your individualism. You got to get that out of the way. And I remembered we were doing this thing. I think they called it block or whatever. I mean, we would all stand in a grid, in a 20 by 30 grid, whatever how many people it happened to be. And we had to stand at attention with our instruments.
Yeah.
So if you're a flute player, it's basically you're standing there with nothing. But if you're like me, who played the tuba, and they didn't have enough...
Yeah, carried around a 30-pound tuba.
Yeah, they didn't have enough contra tubas, which are the ones that sit on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. I had to march with a concert tuba, the one that's supposed to sit in your lap.
And you didn't have a sousaphone wraps around you.
I didn't have a strap. I'm having to hold this thing 5 inches out from my chest. Yeah. So I'm standing there barely hanging on. Well, there was a girl in front of me, and if you stand with your legs locked, you'll pass out.
Yeah.
And it's in the middle of summer. It's 105 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And we're standing on this fucking asphalt pavement, and I was watching her because she kept
jerking,
doing jerking thing. I was like, "What the hell's going on with her?" And she eventually just collapses and falls forward, and her teeth went into the girl in front of her's back.
Ooh.
And one of her front teeth broke off.
Oh no!
In her back. So I don't know if she felt there's
an overbite girl.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but the girl in front of her just was ah! They had to pull the tooth out of her back.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, I mean, when you have to do something as a unit, as a large group of, or a group of people, you have to get rid of that individualism, which that's what they instill in boot camp. There's no heroes here. We work as a unit. We work as a group.
Right. Because if you're all individuals, you're all going to fuck up. Yeah.
Right. It's sort of you see ants. Ants don't act as individuals. Ants act as there's a hive mind, right? Yeah. So they all act. They work as a unit.
Yeah.
That's kind of how. That's sort of what they're trying to instill. You can get that from sports, footballs, all like that.
Anything where you're a part of
if somebody fucks up during a scrimmage or whatever, it's take a lap, everybody go. Until we get this right, you're all gonna get punished.
Yeah.
So at that, you're trying to instill in that sort of stuff. It's no matter who fucks up, everybody has to pay the price because everyone suffers because of your fucking stupidity.
Yeah. I remember in marching band, the tuba section kind of had a stigma about them that we were all a bunch of idiots.
Yeah.
And it's not entirely false. So we were all. So if there was any group that was ever having to like do laps or like do push-ups or anything, it was us. So I remember.
Yeah. Well, it's heavy.
Yeah.
And it's hot.
Yeah. So of course
there's gonna be lapses in judgment.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying around a fucking clarinet.
We were standing outside. We were trying to run through our show, and it was like it was marching band practice like before, like our first tournament that year.
Mm-hmm.
So they were being really hard on us. Like, you guys have got to get this right. Like, get it in your fucking heads. Like, it's 5 steps forward, it's 3 steps to the right. Why are you fucking that up?
No.
So we're all out there, and there was a part where I have to march backwards, and there's a color guard, which is the person with the flag.
Mm-hmm.
So like a 90-pound little girl has to run behind me.
Yeah.
So I'm marching backwards. I can't see.
Yeah, you're hoping.
I'm in my mind. I'm like, she can see me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hard to fucking miss.
Yeah.
So
I'm the biggest person out here.
Yeah. So it was hot. And I'm tired, and I didn't really want to be in marching band anyway because it was like 9th grade or whatever. And I'm marching backwards, and I just crash right into this girl, and she falls to the ground, and she gets up. She's like, "Watch where you're going." It's just like
fuck you, you
me?
stupid asshole.
And I said, "Fuck you, bitch." So the band director heard that.
And he probably didn't hear her.
He didn't hear her.
He just heard you.
He just heard me. Well, I screamed it at her. So, yeah, I had to do like 100 push-ups or something insane like that. But it was things like that. So that day in particular, it was a lot of tensions were high.
Yeah.
So there's a part of the marching band called the pit.
Yeah.
And those people in the pit are the people who stand there and play the marimbas and the timpanis and things that are like down on the sideline.
Right.
And they got to practice in the building with the air conditioning.
Oh, very nice.
So at the end of the day, when we were all done sweating outside, I walked in. I was in just a sour mood, you know. I walked in, and one of the guys at the pit was like, it looks like you guys had fun out there. And I just said, I will fucking kill you. And the band director heard me say that. So I had to go back outside and march around with my tuba by myself, just around the parking lot. And after he was like, "Man, what's going on with you today?" He's like, "You're cussing out girls, you're threatening to kill people." And I was like, "I'm the victim here."
You keep punishing me.
So it didn't go smoothly at first, but I mean, I'm glad I was in marching band. It was a good experience.
Yeah, it's one of those deals like when you're going through it, you're like, yo, fuck this.
Fuck this.
Fuck this. I'm done with this.
Yeah. But if you see it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it gives you like, you can get through difficult things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you can get through stuff that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Without giving up on what it is that you're doing.
I think there's a lot to be said about kind of having the ability to just kind of hunker down.
Right.
And keep your head down and just push through whatever it is.
Right.
Like, try not to dwell too much on the fact that it sucks.
That it's happening at the time.
That it's happening and it sucks, and currently this sucks. Because if you think about that too much,
right.
There's a part of you that's going to just step away. Just done.
Yep.
Done with this.
I'm going to disassociate from this.
Yeah. But if you can just kind of, push through whatever that thing happens to be. And, you can't apply that to everything that sucks, right? Like, if you're in, like, an abusive relationship.
Right.
You kind of have to take charge of that situation.
That's sort of, like, I remember, like, the moment that I was like, I'm done with the military. Like, I'm not re-enlisting. Like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I was, like, 5 weeks out of boot camp.
Yeah.
Like, I got 5 years and 10 months left to go on this contract.
And you've already decided I'm done with this.
So we're in like what they call like ATT school, which is like advanced technology training or whatever. Yeah. So like they're teaching you about like electronics, like electricity flow, like transistors, like all
like from the ground up.
From the ground up, right? And so like I don't get it. Like I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time because I've never dealt with any of this. Yeah. Right. So like,
you've only ever been the victim of electricity.
Right. Exactly. So like when I first came in or whatever, they're like, oh, we're going to send you into the advanced electronics computers field.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll get to learn how to code and do all this shit. No,
that's just what they called it.
Yeah, that's just what they called it. And so I get there, and they're like, "We're going to learn about electricity." I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, I guess I'll learn about this first."
Like, oh, computers have electricity.
Computers have electricities. Electricities.
Electricities. How many electricities are in a computer? Get this guy out of my program right now.
So, like, I'm doing very horribly. Like, and I'm doing, like, extra study time. Like, I'm going up there, like, after we get out and everything. Because, like, you go from, like, 7 in the morning until, like, I think it was, like, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
So, like a school day.
Yeah, like a school day. Yeah. And then, so, like, you go throughout the whole thing, and it's all computer-based. So, you're teaching yourself the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm really struggling with it. So, I'm, like, going after and, like, getting help and everything. I have, like, the lowest GPA in the class. I always finish last.
Yeah.
And, like, the test, you can take the test as many times as you want, but you have to pass them eventually.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, at this point, like, I'm taking notes on, like, everything because it's the only thing saving my ass at this point.
Right, yeah.
Because I'm constantly having, like, go down and be like, I failed again. Like, here's my notes. And they're like, well, you're taking good notes. I'm like, I don't
understand. Not retaining it.
I'm not retaining anything. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not getting it, right? And so, like, I continue to, like, go through it or whatever. And then, like, one day, like, the chief of the building, who's, like, the main person there, comes in, and he's like, everybody get up. And so we're like, fuck, what is happening or whatever. And then, like, we go down, they, like, line us all up or whatever. And we, one by one, have to go into his office. And I get in there, and they're like, seaman recruit, right? And I was like, yes, chief. And he goes, we know that you've been given Seaman Smith answers. And I was like, what?
No, what?
I was like, what? I was like, I like immediately, like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, what are you talking about?
Do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah.
Like,
right. I was like, I'm down here all the time getting, like, remediation training.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? And then he was like, don't you lie to me, because we'll send you to the fleet undesignated, which means that you go out and you bust rust.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I can't do that for 6 years.
They hang you off the side of the ship.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and I was like, I don't know how to respond to that. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
I was like, and I told him, I was like, you can go and look at I have the lowest GPA in the class.
Yeah.
I was like, I fail everything multiple times.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm the last person to take tests. I was like, how is it that I would give somebody else answers when I haven't even taken the fucking test?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
And, like, he won't fucking quit. He just keeps on keeping on. And eventually, like, I was like, oh, you don't fucking care.
Yeah.
You just want to hear what it is that you want to hear.
Yeah. You just want somebody to cop to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, so
he probably said that to everybody that came in there.
I was like, so it doesn't matter what the fucking truth is.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, we're going to send you all the way back. So I went all the way back to the beginning of the fucking school and struggled through it again. And I remember I came out and I told Seaman Smith, I'm covering up this person's name because I don't know if this person wants their name out there.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, listen, dude, like, if he asks you if I was giving you answers, just say yeah. I was like, because he doesn't give a fuck. He's like, and at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm fucking done with this.
Yeah.
I was like, I hate the military.
You're just so beaten down.
So much.
Yeah.
I was like, I was so mad at that point. And then just from that point on, it was just, I was sour the whole time.
Sour and just grumpy.
Yeah. Like, I showed up to my first ship, and I was like, I came in, and, like, the first thing I told my chief, I was like, I'm doing my first enlistment, I'm getting out, I hate this.
Yeah. It's just like, all right. You're not the first person who ever greeted me with that. Like, hi, how you doing? Like, I hate this.
Yeah,
like,
I hate
I'm
this.
Sure.
Like, I remember I went back to the barracks that day. I was like, I've made a mistake. I was like, I've made a 6-year-long mistake.
Well, I mean...
But then, like, after it was over, like, of course, like, I got my GI Bill. I was able to, like, finish my degree and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say, think where you are now.
Right. Like, it gave me the opportunity to go work for the company that I worked for afterwards and everything. But, like, going through it was not fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what we were talking about, like going through things that are hard and difficult.
Yeah, just keeping your head down.
Right.
Yeah.
But I disassociated the whole time.
Yeah, he just like went on autopilot. One day I was just out of the military.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
It was like the only way like my brain could survive. I had to like disassociate from it.
I you're talking about like struggling with like learning things. So for me, like I am my worst critic. Like if I don't fucking nail something the first time I do it, I'm like, well then I'm a fucking failure and I deserve to die.
Yeah.
Like
a lot of negative self-talk.
Yeah, it's just like, I understand that that's ridiculous. Like, of course, if you do something the first time, you're not going to be great at it.
Right.
It's like, but I can't break that habit of thinking.
Right.
So like for me in school, it was constantly that because every day you're having to learn a new thing, and I don't get it right away. I was like, well, then I don't fucking understand. I'll never understand, and I just like didn't understand the fact that I wasn't going to understand straight away.
Right.
And I was like, I never really took like, advantage of the resources. Like, hey, ask the teacher to explain it a little better. Right. It was just like, I'm not going to get this, and then I would just resign to that. Right. And I've kind of chipped away at that a little bit. Like this is like, to me, that's like a rock in my soul. And it's like I have to get that out of there. That has to come out. Like, and I'm trying to do better about that. But it's like, if I don't know why it is. I just like if I fail at something, I'm like, well, then I'm a failure through and through. Right. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way, but some people probably only feel that way for a moment. Right. I carry it. Right. And I don't know why.
That must be genetic because I do the same thing.
I guess. I don't know. But it's like, I feel like I learn better if I can. So like, if I'm being taught something and it's just a matter of repeat that thing back to me.
Yeah, regurgitate what I just told you.
Yeah. Like.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't know why. It's going to go right in one ear and out the other. But if they're like, apply this thing and I do it, I'm like, then I know. I have a full understanding of it. So I'm definitely much more of like a hands-on learner, and I have to learn through experience something rather than just being told, this is how it is. Remember that.
Right. I'm very as far as like learning is concerned, I'm a very visual learner. Like if you can tell me how something works and then show me like what we just told you, like we're going to now show you why it works this way. Yeah. Like then I'm like, oh, okay, I see.
I also have a hard time accepting if somebody's like, this is how you do X, and I'm like, I want to know why. Yeah. And they're like, well, don't worry about that. Just know that this is how you do it. Yeah. It's hard for me to let go of that. Yeah. I need to understand. In order to understand that that's how it is, I need to understand why it is that way. Right.
Especially and I've always struggled too. Like if I immediately don't find something like interesting or fascinating, like that's really hard. Yeah. Like for me to especially reading something, I'm struggling to retain. I'll go over something multiple times. Yeah. I don't know what it's saying.
Like read the same paragraph 90 times in a row. It's like I'm not retaining this. It's just I'm looking at letters.
Yeah. I'm just saying words right now. They're just words out into the void.
Yeah, if I'm interested in something, I'll go and teach myself how to do something. I can pick it up like nobody's business. I can learn it straight away and retain it forever. But if it's something, if I'm not even remotely interested in it at all, I'm not gonna hold on to that information.
No, I'm the same way.
So I have a deep respect for people who can just study,
just power through
and
it.
Retain information. Right. Think about people who are valedictorians, graduate high school with a 4.5 GPA. No. And then go to college and ace everything, get on the dean's list. Yeah. I don't, that seems insurmountable. Yeah. I barely passed high school and I quit halfway through college. That tracks for me. Yeah. That's who I am. But it's I just, I don't know. I can't do that.
Well, I think too, especially I think nowadays, I think when we were growing up, like everybody was sort of like in the mindset of like you have to go to college in order to be successful. Like that's kind of what was being pushed or
That's
whatever.
what we were told our whole lives.
That's what we were told, right? And so
I didn't know there was an option to learn skills.
Right, exactly. So I think now it's sort of turning the other way, where it's like that's not the only option that you have. Like you have other options in order to be successful. You don't have to go to like a 4-year university in order to be able to be a success. Like you can go learn a trade, or you can go do something else. Like you can be an entrepreneur if you have like an idea you think might be worth like coming to fruition. Whereas like I'll say like most of the stuff that I was taught in college, like I don't really use it anymore. Like I use concepts, like with my current job or whatever. Like there's a specific platform that I use. I need to know more about that platform than I need to know about like the specific things I learned about in college. Like I don't use anything with databases anymore. Yeah. Like I understand how databases work, which is helpful for my job. But like as far as like most of the stuff that I learned while I was in college, I don't use it.
Yeah.
It's useless to me. I don't have any use for it.
You're not applying it.
I'm not applying it. Right.
Yeah,
like I'd use like concepts for like writing like validation rules and everything like that. Yeah. Like but with the platform that they use, like they've kind of dumbed it down so that like more people can learn how to do it. Yeah. Right.
I think also too, like I think a lot of people are kind of disenfranchised with that whole, go to college, get a job thing.
Well, it's so expensive.
Because it's so incredibly expensive, and the wages that you get
don't match
out of college. Yeah. It's like you who went to college and a guy who didn't go to college.
Right.
By the time you get your job, fresh out of college, you and that guy who didn't go to college are going to be making the same money.
Right, but I'm also going to be paying on my student loan.
You're also going to be paying on your student loans. However, the job that you got with your college degree will probably most likely give you more opportunity to, advance
like in the corporate structure, right?
And like the corporate structure and potentially earn more money.
I mean, not necessarily because
that's not always the case.
You're talking about like master plumbers and master electricians and that kind of stuff. They're making well into six figures. And you're talking about people who can go and start their own businesses.
I know several people who have their own electrician company. Yeah, making money hand over fist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to have electricians. You have to have plumbers.
You got to have these people. You
have to have them. Yeah. And especially too, like there's not many people doing it anymore. Yeah. It's sort of like Walmart hiring truck drivers starting out at $120,000 a year. They're going to teach. they're going to teach.
Wild, dude.
They're going to teach you how to drive. They're going to give you a CDL license. Yeah. Like if I was a young man, like in high school, I'd be like, there's no reason for me to go to college. Why would I do that? Yeah. When I can just go learn, especially like if you don't have like a girlfriend or anything, like you don't have like a romantic relationship.
Nothing holding you down, yeah.
Why not? Why wouldn't I do that? Yeah. Go make all this buku bucks.
Make $120,000 a year
to drive around and see the country. Like why would I
do that for like 35 years, and then by the time you retire, your 401k is just fucking ludicrous.
Right, and especially too, it's like if you're making that much money, at some point you can start buying your own trucks and have your own trucking company and contract out to other people. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And then you can stay at home.
Yeah, you have those opportunities in this country to do things like that. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you should not go to college. That's not what I'm saying.
But it's not for everyone.
But it really is not for everyone. No. I was never cut out to go to college. I'm not good with academia at all. No. That's just how I am. I would have been better served to have like gone to like maybe vocational school and like learn a skill or something. Just because I suck at studying.
Right, you're better like with your hands.
I'm better with my hands. That's just who I am. But I mean, if the thing that you want to do requires you to get a college degree, you're not going to have that issue because you want that thing. Right. So you're going to go after that thing. I went into college because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and then I would just somehow I would have like a whoa moment. Yeah. Like this is where my life's supposed to go. Right. I went to college and dicked around for 2 years, and I was like, I've said before, college was the most expensive gym membership I ever had. I'm still paying for it.
Well, I mean, I think one of the reasons why the last time that I went through, like why I was able to get through it was because of the major that I picked. Yeah. Because with coding, like you do something and then you see a result after
immediately.
Yeah. It's like, so it makes it like if it doesn't work, then I'm having to go through and like troubleshoot and find out what the issue is. But like I can see something come out of it. Like I see this thing that happens.
Hello world.
Right. Yeah. So, but as opposed to like if you're learning like calculus to be like a civil engineer, it's like I can't there's no application for me right now.
There's no immediate result that I'm gathering.
That's the only reason I was able to get through that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like calculate anything beyond like trigonometry, you can fucking forget it. Yeah. I'm not gonna get that. Anything that's like theoretical math.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
My brain isn't made for that.
No. It's like I can sit there and do fucking Pythagorean theorem all day long.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. It's right there on the paper. That equals that.
Yep.
But I never made it to calculus, and thank God, because I probably would have killed myself.
No.
I can't do that shit. Before we run out of time, we need to jump into Super Cringe Thursday. We're sitting here bemoaning our lives. We're not as bad off as the two individuals who were in our Super Cringe Thursday pick. So Wesley discovered a Facebook page called Cringy TikToks, which is just a fucking gold mine.
It's a gold mine.
And it's like I could imagine Wesley doing like a prospector dance when he came across it. So he sent me
wearing some long johns and like some overalls.
He like sent me like 4 or 5 of them, and there are a lot of good ones on there. But the one that we picked, for anybody who didn't see it, is these two men who they have their phones set up like recording them, I guess like on the tailgate of their like S10.
Yeah, probably.
And they're in like the parking lot of like some Shell station, and they're acting tough to this person who doesn't exist.
Right.
And there's like this fucking stupid ass brain dead country song playing.
Yeah.
And it's like, peacocking in any fashion is cringy.
Right.
But peacocking as if you're some kind of tough guy. It's like the peak of Mount Everest,
right?
Of that kind of cringe.
Well, first of all, there's a lot going on with this video. So, like, if we're gonna break down why it's cringe, is like, first of all, like, I kind of understand who these two people are.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Obviously, this is outside of like a gas station in like a local community somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm guessing somewhere in the South.
Yeah. You said Dothan, Alabama. I think you're dead on with that, by the way.
My pick is Dothan, Alabama. It just seems like that's where this would be, right?
Look, for anybody who's confused about the South, Georgia and Alabama are not the same at all. We are very close.
Right.
Where we live, we're close to Alabama. Those are different people.
Yeah.
Once you cross the state line.
As soon as you cross the state line, different people.
Totally different people.
Different people. Way different.
Yeah.
And like people like from like the Panhandle in Florida, totally different people.
Oh yeah,
right. So something in that video screams Dothan, Alabama to me. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I don't know if it's just like what I can make out from like the landscape, or it seems
like some like hunter instinct.
Right.
It's like I know where this is.
Yeah. It's somewhere in Alabama if I had to take a guess.
Yeah.
And of course, like. The one in the back's got like a Browning T-shirt with the sleeves cut off of it. I'm assuming they came from their job somewhere as like a house painter.
Yeah.
And then of course like they've got the hats where they've taken the bills and they've squeezed them down.
Yeah, like so rubber banded them around a Coke can.
Yeah. So now it's like the bill is like sitting in the middle of their forehead, like so their forehead is like flopping out.
Yeah.
Of the side of the bill.
You know what the funny thing about that look is? It makes your brow sit lower.
Right.
So you look like a fucking caveman. It's like if you want to actively look less intelligent,
right,
wear your ball cap like that.
Right. And so, I mean, they're old hats. Of course, why wouldn't they be old hats? I think one of them had like a fishing hook on it.
Like my grandpappy's hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the music starts up and it's a song about taking somebody out to the parking lot to beat their ass because they saw them hit a woman. And
is the song about that? That's what the video was about. Because the text said, "Me and my brother, when we see a man put their hands on a woman."
that if you listen to the song, because
is it about the same thing?
It's about the same thing. So they're just reiterating what the song is reiterating.
So they're not providing any new information.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So they're just like yeah, we'll do that too.
We'll do that.
And then so the one in the front, he's really into it.
He is feeling it.
He's feeling it.
Yeah.
So he's like air punching at the phone, like really getting it. right? And so he's got the one in the back's got his Oakleys on, and then he like kind of like half-heartedly like kind of throws some elbows and walks out of the frame, then walks back through and throws some more elbows, and kind of like gives like the grin at the phone, like
I'm a fucking tough.
I'm tough, right? Kind of shrugs it, you know what I'm saying? And then he like walks out of frame, and the other dude still.
I think at some point the dude in front like. He's like he got convinced he was in a fight.
Right.
Like he started seeing something.
And I'm assuming that these two probably subside mostly off beer.
Yeah.
I think
like their diet consists of like Funyuns and beer.
Right.
From that gas station that they were in.
Right. And they're like, one of them looks like he's probably my age, early 30s. The other one probably looks like he's a little bit younger, maybe in his late 20s.
And the one on the right, the one closer to the camera, has that lollipop head that all meth addicts have.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's a through line. Every time you see a meth addict, they've got that lollipop head.
Or they got like a real skinny neck.
And a perfectly circular skull. Like a stick person.
And shout out to Paula Camp, who said these two look like they hit women.
I think she's right.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely right.
Art imitates life.
It may be a bit of a stretch to call it art.
I think maybe they were feeling some type of way when they heard that song.
You think that they were putting up a face to say, we're the kind of guys who would beat up a guy for hitting a woman, when in reality they're the guys hitting the woman.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they're deflecting.
They're deflecting.
Like, don't look over here because I would beat that guy up. Right?
They listen to Five Finger Death Punch. Or if they don't, they wouldn't. They would like Five Finger Death Punch.
They would like Five Finger Death Punch. I think those two, to me, feel more like the outlaw country. Like they seem like outlaw country guys. You know what I mean? Like that type of music that they were playing.
Yeah.
That there's a specific type of music that talks about how tough you are. Like it's country type of music that does this, right? Yeah. And they talk about like how tough they are, how much beer they drink, how jacked up their truck is. Yeah, like that's the kind of music they listen to.
It's just so
while they drive around in their like shitty early 2000s like white beat up with like the mud marks on it S10. Yeah, right. There's beer cans in the back.
Yeah, there's like a half a gun.
Yeah, exactly. There's like the gun, but like the buttstock's missing off of it.
Yeah, like broken off. He used it to smash a woman's skull in.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy. I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
It's so funny that like, you know, somebody from up north might see these two guys and be like, those are Southerners. Like that's everybody in the South is that. And it's like, I see that. And I'm like, those guys are here. Make no mistake. I was like, but I can differentiate between those Southerners,
right,
and like another. I can see further into it,
right?
You know, because like I've spent more time around it.
It's like we've talked about before. It's like people that aren't from the South, like there's two different types of Southerners when they think of Southerners. They think of like those two, like meth addict, beer drinking, like dumbasses, and then like
fighting their phone in a parking lot,
listening to like outlaw country. And then you have like, I don't know why people, the cowboys, like, like that's not even.
That's further north than you are.
Yeah, exactly. That's like Montana and Wyoming. What are you talking about?
We've been exposed to it. We went to high school with people who thought they were that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Did I ever tell the story of the guy who drank the dip spit in art class?
Well, we had somebody do that for money.
Oh, you had somebody do it for money?
Yeah, like $20. Drank like a Gatorade bottle, like that big around, that much.
Ugh, Lord have mercy.
It was a lot.
That's so fucking nasty. That's so fucking nasty. This individual, this was an art class, and he had a spit bottle. Yeah, it was a Coke bottle. And he was spitting into it. And the teacher came over and saw it in his book bag, and she said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's Coke." And she said, is it? And he was like, yeah, it's Coke. She goes, drink it. He goes, all right. And he unscrewed the lid, and he turned it up like Chris Pratt in the Jurassic World movie. And he took a couple swigs. And he put the cap back on, and he grabbed the desk, and he went, like, he's just like... It looked like somebody was like it looked like he was like getting stuck with a cattle prod. He was trying not to scream, and she just was like, "You know what? All right." Just walked away. Like that. That was punishment enough.
Oh God!
And I saw him swallow it.
That's so bad.
I saw it go down his throat like the big lump, cartoon lump.
Ugh.
I would have been like, that's dip spit.
Yeah.
I'm not drinking that. That's dip spit.
That's so bad. Ugh. And being somebody who's a former, used to dip, like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I tried dip once, and
listen, the reason why I continue to do it is because I was chasing the fucking dragon off the first one, all right?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever, like, dipped.
Yeah.
It's
just so much nicotine directly into the blood system.
I won't give out this person's name.
Yeah.
But his mom was also a teacher up at the high school.
Yeah.
And he's like, try this.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And so it was Grizzly Straight. No, it wasn't Grizzly Straight.
Was it Wintergreen?
No, it wasn't Wintergreen. It was Grizzly Natural Cut.
Yeah.
And so it was like the fine one. Like you had to like really pack it in there to like get it. And so I put it in there, and I'm like sitting there like talking and everything, and I still haven't like, so it's like kind of like ugh.
Yeah.
So like until like you've done it for a while, it just kind of like
you don't really know how to handle it.
It like mushes all around like your bottom lip and everything. And so I'm like sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you just get real lightheaded.
Yeah, you get real lightheaded, and everything starts spinning. And they're like, oh, yeah, he's feeling it. And so then I'm like laying across the hood of the truck.
Well, because it's so much nicotine, and it's straight into your blood system. Like it's one step away from just like fucking injecting it, like mainlining it.
Like smoking a cigarette, like it, like has nothing. It's nothing compared. To like dip.
Yeah, like one pinch is like
it's like 15
cigarettes
like
at
15
once.
cigarettes all at one time.
Yeah.
And like even then, it's not. Yeah. You can't really compare the two.
The first time I ever did it, I threw up 2 bologna sandwiches near immediately, so I was turned off from it straight away. It ruined dip and bologna sandwiches for me.
I remember the worst was one time I was watching TV or something, and of course I was at this point it had been like a year, so like I was still dipping, and so I was watching TV and like I fell asleep and I had my head cocked back.
Yeah.
So I was like sitting on the couch and I had my head cocked back, and I woke up and my mouth was so dry, and I guess I forgot I had it in there.
It just sucked all the moisture.
Yeah, and I forgot that I had it in there, but it wasn't in my lip anymore. It was like sitting back here.
Yeah, like behind your molars?
Like behind my molars. I went and swallowed real hard. It. I swallowed the whole thing. And then immediately I was like,
you remembered what it was?
I was like, oh no.
I remember when you moved out to go to college, we turned your old bedroom into kind of like the rumpus room. Like we put the pool table, like the foosball table was in there, and like all the video game consoles were in there, and we were kind of cleaning it out, and we got into your closet, and where did that hidey hole come from?
It had always been there.
Already there?
It had
Wesley had like a false panel in the back of his closet. I swear to God, it was like a secret compartment. And like you could like push in on the panel and reach in behind the wall, and you had a trash bag full of dip cans, like 900 dip cans. And I pulled it out, and I was like, "This is his legacy." And I was like, "There's so many fucking dip cans in here."
I just remember. I remember, like, as a kid moving into that room, I was like, what in the world? At first, it scared me because I was, like, 11 when I first moved into that room.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, there's a monster
I was
back
like,
there.
there's something back. Like, I can't. And then, like, one day, like, there was nothing back. All it is like insulation back there. Insulation, like.
Yeah, it's just the wall between your bedroom and the bathroom.
I don't know why it got cut out at some point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why that would have been what it was.
Yeah, there's no pipes or anything in there?
No. So it really didn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, as soon as I started using tobacco products, I like, perfect. This works perfectly.
I have a hidey hole.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I use
My
this?
secret compartment.
Yeah. As like, as an angsty teenager that's going to do the things that your parents don't want you to do, why wouldn't I use this as my hidey hole?
The another thing I remember about when you left for college was you didn't take Dave with you.
Yeah, poor Dave.
Dave was a what kind of gecko was he?
He was
like I had Joey.
He was an African fat-tailed gecko.
Yeah, so I had Joey, who is a leopard gecko, and he was probably about from head to tail, maybe about 6-7 inches long.
Yeah,
Dave was
a little bit smaller.
But Joey was real chill. You could hold him.
Dave was
he
not.
Would just sit there in your hand. It was whatever. Dave was a little bastard, and he would bite the fuck out of you.
And I don't know why he wouldn't like that when I first got him.
He turned mean.
Yeah.
So he had a dog in him. But I remember,
he
like,
bit the shit out of Justin that time.
Drew blood on Justin. I didn't know a gecko could bite somebody hard enough. But you had moved out, and I mean it was like 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And we were finally like, me and Aaron were like, let's turn Wesley's room into like the hangout spot.
No.
And so we went in there, and like his terrarium was between the wall and the couch.
Yeah.
And like, so you know, if you're walking past the room, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
So nobody ever thought about Dave.
Yeah.
And we were in there, we were kind of cleaning up, and I looked behind the couch. I was like, oh my fucking God, Dave is over here. I was like, and I opened up the lid, and it looks like Spirit Halloween in his terrarium. It's just spider webs everywhere. And Dave is just hanging out. He was eating, I guess he was eating spiders the whole time. Somehow he was still alive. No water.
You thought he was mean before?
Now he was like a grizzled, like survivalist. And I think Dave hung on for about 5 years after that.
Yeah, we struggled with pets.
Yeah, for a while we did. Yeah. Especially like, Aaron.
Yeah, every pet he had
met with a horrible fate. He flattened the guinea pig.
Like Charlie.
We told that story in one of the previous episodes. I don't remember which one that was, but yeah, he
panicked and threw it back in the.
He accidentally stepped on his guinea pig and flattened it like a pancake. Put it back in the cage. And then he had the turtle that never opened its eyes.
Yeah, that was odd.
He got sick and died. And then his bearded dragon, Fred, got assassinated.
It had a hole in its chest.
It had like a pinhole in his chest when we came home. That was the strangest fucking thing.
Yeah, he's always struggled with pets.
Yeah. All manner of dead cats.
Ugh.
Like we had just, cats that would get up in the engine compartment.
Yeah, I specifically remember that because that was like 8th grade going into 9th grade, and they were doing like football workouts like in the morning or whatever.
Yeah.
So Mom would take me and drop me off. And she was doing something after that or whatever. So you two were staying at home. And I remember like coming back and then there being a dead cat. And
squished cat.
A squished cat. Well, some of them weren't even squished. Like they'd get up in the engine compartment and get up in them belts.
Yeah.
And then it'd like that. And it'd snap their neck and throw them out from underneath the car.
Oh my God.
And then I remember one time it was me and Drew went out there and there was one up by the road. We're like, oh shit, we got to go clean it up.
Yeah.
So we went up there. He's like, you hold the bag. He's like, and I'll take the shovel and we'll get it in the bag, and then we'll tie it up and throw it in the trash can.
Yeah.
And then so he shovels it and he lifts it up, and the eyeball was out of the socket, and it flopped over, and it was like looking back at him.
I remember one time we had, I don't remember which cat it was, but they had a litter, and we put the kittens in. It was right, we found them right before football practice.
Yeah.
And we were like, what do we do? We can't just leave them out here.
Yeah.
So we put them in a
a plastic
tub, like a tote.
Yeah.
And we set it on the swing bench on the back porch. And we're like, we'll just deal with them when we come back home. And we get to football practice, and it started raining at football practice.
Like a monsoon.
Like it just started coming down. And we never really thought about it. And we came back home, and as soon as we pulled into the driveway, everybody in the truck was like, fuck the kittens. And we all ran to the back porch. And then they were, like, the water was, like, up under their little chins. And they're just mewing it, like, trying to get out. And we're like, oh, we're so sorry.
Like, where's your mother?
So just in this fucking plastic tub filling up with water. And then, like, at the 11th hour, we showed up and saved them. It would have been horrible coming back to a box full of drowned kittens.
Do you remember the time we had that dog that used to hang out like around the house, like for a little while? It was like a couple weeks. And we fed him that bologna, but he had to get through all the hot sauce.
Yes. Yes, because he used to lay in Mom's flower bed and destroy all her flowers, and we couldn't get him to leave.
Right.
So we were like, oh, we'll show him what for. So we took a slice of bologna and put it in like the bottom of like a paper bowl.
Yeah.
And just had like an inch of hot sauce on the top of it. He ate every bit of it. And we didn't see him again after that.
Oh, good.
It wasn't like we were, just trying to fuck with a dog. Like, this dog was a problem. Like, we couldn't get
him to go. We'd chase him off, and then he'd come back, and
we didn't. He was sketchy.
Yeah.
He was like a problem. Yeah,
He was sketchy.
He was sketchy. And then you had the neighbor's dog when we were kids. He used to eat rocks. He used to eat like fucking gravel.
Yeah, we'd like toss rocks to him, and he'd eat them.
I think that might be why he went insane.
Maybe.
Just had a belly full of rocks.
I think that those types of dogs, they do have a propensity to get a little bit crazy.
Golden retrievers?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in their later years.
Yeah, I think German Shepherds are the same way too, right? It's like their brains keep growing, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think German Shepherds are the same way. I think I've heard that before.
That's the worst thing about dogs is that they don't hang around long, and the twilight hours of their life is just woof.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good because that's not the end that a canine was ever meant to meet.
Right.
A canine was meant to be like eaten by a bear at the end of its life. It was never supposed to get to a point where it
dies of old age.
It dies of old age. So it's just not a graceful thing that happens.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about how, like, everything else, like in the animal kingdom, doesn't die of old age.
They're like nothing.
Like the end for everything in the animal kingdom
is awful.
is panic and fear, and then the end.
Yeah.
like you're being eaten.
Yeah.
Essentially, is what happens.
You're either being eaten or you die in a fight.
Right.
One of those two things.
Or you fall off of something, break your neck, and then you lay there until
you lay there while you're getting eaten by creatures.
Right. But like for humans, it's like we just kind of like curl up and go to sleep
in your little bed, surrounded by your family. I mean, there's people that have been eaten.
Oh yeah, until we took ourselves out of that situation. Yeah. Like we went out the same way.
We want no more of this.
Screaming and in pain and agony,
dying in terror. It's such a. I remember there was a comedian a while back. He was talking about going to get a dog for his family, and he said he showed up to the pound and he was like, "Hello, yes, my family and I would like to be unconsolably sad in about 12 years." But it is. I mean, there's, no other animal will show you loyalty and compassion like a dog will.
Right.
And then they just, you get them for about, you're doing good to have them for 10 years if you have like a larger breed. I mean, you guys had Buddy for
he was
a long
12
time
when he passed.
for his size and his breed.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's like 100. He's like 220 pounds.
Yeah, he was a big damn dog. But I mean, Buddy lived a charmed life. He never wanted for anything.
No.
So
that fool was so domesticated. That asshole.
It was like I look at Lex and Lola, like I'll be watching Lex and like there's Lex and Lola are so different in personality. Like Lola's like bubbly, and Lex is like Eeyore.
No,
like he's sweet and he's cuddly and everything, but like he acts like everyone hates him,
right?
And literally no one hates him.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's coming from. He'll like throw his head like over the arm and like, oh, I wish somebody loved me. And I'm just looking at him like, dude, you're like on a couch laying your head on a pillow. Like you just ate food. It's air conditioned in here.
Right.
Like there's some dog out there fighting for his fucking life right now.
Some stray in like L.A. somewhere.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't have any means to show him.
Eating out of a fucking dumpster.
Like I don't have any way to convince him like, you're doing fine. You're okay.
And there's you can always kind of pick that out in a dog. Like our dog now, Ruthie, like with Buddy, like if something was to happen, there were no more humans, if Buddy had to fend for himself, he'd been fucked.
Oh yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, my dogs too.
He wouldn't have been able to make it.
Yeah, Lola's allergic
he'd have been
to grass.
the first to go. Right? But like with Ruthie, like she's pretty. She can.
Spunky.
Like, yeah, there's a wild animal part of her.
Something in there.
There's something in there. Like
Yeah.
she isn't. Like
she's not 100% domesticated.
Yeah, there's something primal inside that dog. Whereas like with Buddy was fully domesticated.
Oh, yeah.
There's no primal anything left in him at all.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time he howled and then he like shocked himself.
Scared himself.
Yeah. He's like, heavens.
Imagine Buddy was like an old English gentleman, like in like the big fancy house at like the dinner party, and like somebody says penis, and he goes, oh, he faints. Yeah, that's like some Lola. I mean, like if the apocalypse ever happened, they're fucked.
Yeah, they're fucked.
They're absolutely fucked. Like they can't eat chicken because they'll get sick and they have allergic reaction. I said Lola's allergic to grass. We found that out the other day. Like my grass got so high that like I should be ashamed of it. It got really ridiculous. But like I just didn't have a chance to get to it and everything. But it got to the point where the grass got so high that like it split off in two ends and like the grass seeds are at the top. Mm-hmm. I think that's what got her. But she was acting like she was like, I don't want to go in that grass. Yeah. Like so she already knew like that's making me feel funny. Oh. And I'm like, get in the fucking grass. Go pee, you piece of shit. And so I finally got her out in the grass and she peed. And then later that night, she was like panicking. Yeah. Like, it was because she was on fire. Yeah. And we couldn't tell. We were like, Lol, lay down. Like,
yelling at her.
Yelling at her. So, like, we didn't really realize that something was wrong with her until we went to go to bed. Yeah. And she was like hyperventilating in bed. We're like, okay, something's up with her. And so we gave her like some Benadryl and everything, and
to get her knocked out.
Yeah, we were like looking at her paws and like, okay, is something stuck in her paw? Like we looked at her like her gums and like we couldn't really see anything. And then like Mary flipped her over and looked at her stomach like where there's no fur, and it was just hives all up and down. Like she had she had syphilis. It was
like we
were like, there it is. So yeah, I mean she can't go anywhere where there's wild grass. Yeah. She's going to have to stay like on the road.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just like pure breed dogs.
Yeah. You just bred out
there's nothing left there.
You bred out all the natural.
Yeah, there's no more wolf inside of that dog.
No, Lola's like a sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah. She feels like a sheep.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas like we had to feed Buddy at the time, food, there's like this bag of food, like most food was like $22 or whatever, and we're buying him like $60 bag of food.
Yeah.
Like the Nutro, like at the time, that was like the high end stuff.
And he went through a lot of food.
And like we had to feed him that.
You had to wash him with oatmeal shampoo.
Yeah.
Because he had bad skin.
Yeah.
That's Lex and Lola. We have to give them fish pills to help their skin, and especially with Lex because he's so big. Like we don't want his joints to be okay.
Right.
So we're like having to give them supplements. Like eventually they're gonna have like that Monday through Sunday like pill thing.
Yeah. That's what we used to do with Buddy. We'd take we'd get this big bottle of pills.
Yeah.
And you'd like mush them up and then stick them in some peanut butter. And this fool, like you couldn't just give him stick them in the peanut butter and give it to him.
Yeah.
Because he'd move it around in his mouth and spit the pill out.
Oh yeah, they're good at. Every dog is good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I'd like crush it up in the peanut butter and like put it on my hand and scrape it on the inside like the top of his mouth.
So you just lick it off.
So he'd have to like lick it off.
I remember one time I was trying to give Lex a pill for something. It had to have been for his ear infection because he gets ear infections all the time.
Yeah.
And I had the pill was like wrapped in cheese and lunch meat. And I was like, "There's no way he's going to find this pill in here."
Oh, he found it.
And I fed it to him, and he doesn't taste anything. He just sucks it right down
the hatch.
Yeah. About 30 minutes later, he barfed up all of his food, that lunch meat and that cheese, and the pill was just like right on the top, just sitting there. And I'm just looking at it like, "You motherfucker." He's like, "I knew that was in there the whole time."
See, Buddy never went down the hatch. He would like chew his food.
Yeah.
So like you couldn't ever give him a whole pill of anything.
Yeah.
Because as soon as he found that pill, he'd just just spit it out.
It's like, I'm trying to help you. It's like, please just eat the pill. Like, I'm not fucking with you. Eat the pill. It's like Lola has gotten to the point now where like she doesn't trust anything we give her if it's something new she's never had before. Like you'll give it to her, she'll spit it out on the floor and she has to inspect it for a long time before she's like, okay, I'll eat this. And then, like with Lex, like you ever seen that video where the dude gave his dog like a bean burrito from Taco Bell and he ate it? Like it just like it's like he dropped it in the trash can. That's Lex, but Lola like takes her time.
Yeah.
So I remember one day the dogs, I was like feeling bad because they had been kind of cooped up for a long time, so I gave them like a dog day. I took them and we did all the dog things, and I got them both plain cheeseburgers.
No.
I was like, they've never had cheeseburgers before. I'll give them one. So I gave Lex his, and of course he ate it in like 2 bites.
No.
And Lola ate the bun off the top of hers and just licked the cheese for like 45 minutes. Just licked the cheese and then ate the beef and then ate the bun. Like she was just in the kitchen licking this hamburger for like an hour. Me and Lex are already back in the living room chilling. Yeah. So I don't know. Dogs are interesting. Interesting creatures.
Yeah.
What we've turned them into.
No, because it's not what they were.
No, not at all. Not
Whereas,
even close.
like, you think about like the original like wolves that kind of like started coming around.
Yeah.
Like they probably like hung off to the side.
Yeah.
And then like
very cautious.
Yeah, very cautious and everything.
Yeah. We probably didn't even see them.
No.
Probably like packed up your camp and left, and they just followed you and ate the scraps you left behind.
Right. Well, they probably like fought off the bears that were trying to get into the camp because they were trying to get the scraps, but they weren't fucking with the humans.
They had no idea they were going to turn into a pug.
Yeah. Or like a chihuahua.
Yeah, this fucking little rat.
Yeah. There's something about I've never been a fan of like small breed dogs.
Me either.
I can't do it.
Every one of them that I've ever met has been a piece of shit. I've never met a small breed dog that I was like, this dog's okay.
This dog's chill.
Like, fuck this thing. No. I hate this thing. I want a dog that can look me in the face.
Right.
Shake my hand when I walk through the door.
Well, there's just something about like a small breed dog. Like there's not much going on there.
Well, I think right before we get out of here, my hypothesis is that people don't train them because they don't think they have to.
Right.
Because they, if you've got like a large dog and he's kind of starts acting a way, like he's testing you, because every dog will eventually do that. Like we went through a period where Lex kind of tested me.
No.
And I was like, no, sir.
No.
Like, you're not the alpha. But people don't do that with little dogs.
No.
And they cater to them and they treat them like they're the alpha. So they think that they are.
Right.
And that's why they're aggressive and they don't listen and they just fucking little fucking pieces of shit fucking dogs.
Right. Well, I know like if you watch like America's Funniest Home Videos, there's like a lot of videos of like chihuahuas and stuff just acting like fucking assholes.
Yeah,
and
like growling at kids.
And then people like laughing and like filming it and everything. It's like, you understand that, like, what if like a toddler came up to like that chihuahua, like, oh, doggy, I want to pet the doggy, and the dog mauls the fucking kid. That's your fault.
Yeah, it could do that.
Yeah, it's roughly
the same size as that toddler. Yeah. Like, if
you have done this, you caused this to happen.
Yeah, if you had an Akita that was acting that way,
yeah, you'd be like, no.
You'd put it down.
Right.
Yeah, but just because this thing weighs 3 pounds, you're going to let it get away with that?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, train your dogs, people.
Oh, yeah, one thing I wanted to say before we leave. The other day, and this is off topic, but I found it really funny, and Allison laughed too. I was getting her on ready to go to school, and I was clipping her fingernails. And I was like, when I was growing up or whatever, I've always been very well with like my fingernail length. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why. I guess because playing sports and everything. Yeah. Like you can like snap them or like snag them or whatever. So I was going to tell Autumn, I was like, yeah, growing up, like I've always been very aware of like my fingernail length or whatever. Because Allison was like, she's like, oh, you're a good dad for noticing that or whatever. And so the first thing I say to her is like, when I was younger, and Autumn looks at me and she goes, you were ugly.
Oh, damn.
I was like, damn it, I was roasted by a 4-year-old.
She just stopped you dead in your tracks.
I was like, looked at her, I was like,
well, that was rude. So let me guess, you were ugly.
Yeah. I was like, when I was younger, she was like, you were ugly?
She's like, yeah, I know. I could tell. Thanks. Appreciate that. Just the brutal honesty. Yeah. You don't get
if you ever have kids, you get to look forward to that.
You get to learn what they really think about you.
Yeah, like Allison will like put on like a shirt or something, and she'll be like, why are you wearing that?
Yeah, that looks bad.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about all we got time for today, everybody. So thank you again for listening. The next episode that releases after this one will be the first one in October, so that'll be our run of a few special episodes there. So the video pick for this week is going to be a bit of a different type of video, so be on the lookout for that. I'm really excited to get into October and kind of show you guys the stuff that we've got going on. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Wesley, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Nope. Just as always, thank you so much for the continued support. We really do appreciate it. If you get a chance and you haven't yet, make sure that you leave a like or a review or a rating if you're enjoying the content on your favorite podcast platform. That kind of helps push us out to more people. That way, more people can find us. I've been noticing that we're getting a lot of retention as far as like listenership is concerned.
It's increasing,
So that's we're super excited about that.
We're seeing it trending up. Yeah. It's very slow. Of course, we're 2 years into this thing, right? And we're just two dudes. Yeah, exactly. So like, where we're at and the growth that we're having is, I would have never expected it.
No.
So if you're a new listener, welcome, hello. Hope you've been enjoying. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and everything, all that good stuff. But we are seeing, the weekly downloads are trending up, trending upwards, and I think our target audience is
we're finding our target audience.
It's like around our age, and it's actually evenly split between men and women.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
According to the analytics that we get. I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I wonder how they even, because I wonder, are they getting that information from the platforms? I'm assuming that people are listening on. I don't know how they would.
Information is shared. They already know everything about you. Yeah. So Big Brother's got you. He's letting us know who you are. There's somebody in Europe that keeps listening to us.
Yeah, so shout out to
that person or somebody with a VPN.
Yeah. So one of the two.
One of the two. So whoever that is, thank you.
It's been crazy to see like the amount of listeners that we're having continue to steadily grow. Yeah. So I think that's a really positive thing for us as far as continuing to reach out to more people. Yeah. And just thank you for the original supporters of the podcast.
Absolutely, the longtime listeners.
Listeners, because that's really been helpful as far as like, I think a lot of like what the algorithm does is like if you continue to have like the same amount of listeners. Like, I'm assuming that it sort of pushes you out, and as you get more episodes, like people find you and they can go back through your back catalog and everything.
Well, the more episodes that we put out, the larger of a presence we have online in the podcast database,
right,
or whatever. So I know we're at the point now where if you Google Thiccboi podcast, we're the first ones to come up.
Right.
So we're getting there, very, 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 very slowly at our own pace.
But yeah, I would prefer it be that way than have it blow up overnight. And then I feel like with slower success, or like with incremental success or whatever, like you have a more, your audience is more genuine. Yeah. Like you've actually found the people that actually enjoy your content. So thank you so much for everybody that continues to come back and listen. We really do appreciate it. It's been fun to continue to do these episodes, and we're excited to continue to do more of them. I
mean, this is the
42nd episode.
42nd episode, yeah. 42 episodes of this thing.
Yeah,
I think it was back at like episode 37. I said, it's crazy that I even feel like there's a reason to make a 37th episode of this thing. And here we are 5 episodes later. Thanks again, everybody. We can't boost our posts on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, we still got zucked.
We got zucked or whatever, and I occasionally will go and check. I put in a request for them to review us. It's been in review since March or May. It's been a long time. So I don't know what's going on at Facebook, but if you could please unzuck us, we'd really appreciate
that'd be great.
that. But in the meantime, the only way to get the podcast out there is if you share it.
Yep.
And show your friends and tell people about it. Tell them that you like it. Tell them that it's okay to listen to, on your way to work. At work.
Or if you want more stickers where they can scan the QR code, you can put them out and hand them out to people that you know. I think we still got some more stickers left.
Yeah, still got some of those, yeah.
So
we still got a few of those. But, I think that's it. Well, that's the podcast, everybody. Thank you, and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.